Hello everyone, this is Garrett, and this is Serious Sam 2. And we are about to do level 7, the Ursul Gardens. And there we go. Immediately, we get to see a cutscene with a bunch of enemies that don't actually show up in this level. But you know, it's fun to show them off.
Sam, Mental's troops are advancing. Use that turret and keep them at bay.
And this turret is great. It shoots giant balls of death, and it's incredibly powerful. And there is basically no way anyone's gonna get close. But it's a good time to introduce a couple new enemy types while we're sitting inside this thing. Some of which are pretty similar to the ones we see. And actually, that's it. That's the only new enemy type, but we'll see it when it gets there. Until then, we're just going to shoot at primitives. And as you can see from that giant club, there's now giant primitives. They're bigger than the other ones. They have more health and deal more damage. That's it. That's the only difference. But it's still pretty cool to see really big primitives. I'm not really sure where they got those from, but they're pretty good at hitting. And you don't want to get hit by those. And when you're not in the giant death cannon, they're actually kind of scary and somewhat tricky to deal with. But fortunately, we don't have to worry about that. What we need to worry about is just destroying everything and sitting happily in our virtually indestructible fortress of terror over here, while we destroy the various enemies that the game tries to throw at us. Every now and then look to the left and right, but most of these guys are just shooting at the Simbas, so I mean, we haven't even taken damage yet. In this entire battle. Oh, there's the first person who managed to shoot us. Now we're in for it. But you can actually just run away. Like, you can try to continue with the level, but there are certain things that just haven't spawned yet and won't spawn until you kill all the enemies here. So we're just gonna sit here and enjoy the lovely music, the lovely helicopters, and a lovely giant death cannon of pink death, because it's doing a pretty good job at living up to its name, really. And yeah, after a while the Simbas will go back inside their little building. I don't really know what this is, but it's a little building. There's an invisible wall stopping you from going inside, and if you clip through it, it's just a large hallway, really. But still, you know, it's their building. It's a building they can call their own. And yeah, it's kind of neat. Any minute now, and we'll be out of enemies, and we'll be able to continue through this mess. There we go. Once you get this little checkpoint thing, is an indication that we can finally move on. This guy, I guess, is not going to join his friends. At least I think so. I might be able to push him. Nah, I don't think I can get him in there. But yeah, this is just an invisible wall here. Anyway, there are 11 secret areas in this level, and some of which are better than others. This one, for instance, not so great, and it is possible not to get hit by that, but you need to stand in a pretty specific spot, and it doesn't really deal that much damage anyway, so I'm not really too bothered. And you can press it as many times as you want, which is great, in case you want to electrocute yourself some more. That's a thing you can do, but you might be able to hear a crying baby if you listen closely. And there's a lot of people here that apparently are attracted to the sound of a crying baby. But we will save this baby from the evil primitive menace. Here it is. Press F to use. I had one occasion where this person tried to throw the extra life and it just sort of clipped through the floor, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Now, the main reason why we're saving that child is not actually for the extra life. It's actually for these points, and it's also for those two vehicles over there, because I think those only spawn once you save the child, and they're kind of neat. They are a little bit worse than the vehicle we had in level 4, was it? Like the little spaceship we had back then, but it's still pretty good. The main difference is that when you try to jump with this thing, you just sort of fall over usually, and it's kind of horrible in that regard, but it does a good enough job at taking care of just about anything that lives over here. You can just crash into things if you want. It honestly doesn't matter, and there's 2 of them, so there really is no chance of anything really going wrong here. One thing you can do in this level, I destroyed a large crate earlier, which had 50 health. It was next to the crying baby. And one thing you can do is that you can take that crate pretty much to the end of the level, and then you'll be able to go out of bounds there. I'm not going to do that because, it's just stupid and tedious, and it doesn't really add a whole lot. But you'll be able to go behind the level exit, and that's kind of fun, I suppose. But it's really not worthwhile. But it's a thing you can do. There's a lot of, just about every open level, as I've mentioned previously, there is pretty much always a way to go out of bounds, and there's no exception to the rule in this level over here. Fortunately, later on we'll still be able to go a little bit out of bounds, but just not as much. And after a while the enemy should run out, and that gives us a little bit of time to go back here again. There's actually some points here if you want them. I don't want them, so I'm just gonna leave them there. There's some crates. Sometimes when you push those, they just don't break at all, and sometimes they all break instantly. It's kind of nice when that happens, but it wasn't meant to be. And behind here are some sniper rifle bullets. And that secret ammo is the reason why there's 11 secrets, because when you can hide a secret behind a small rock, then just about anything starts to become a secret now, isn't it? So going over here.
These doors can't be opened. Look around. Maybe you can find a key.
Maybe we can find a key. Now the key is pretty well hidden, and pretty far away from the door as well, and it's not just sitting over here. Not at all. And from this point, there's 2 things you can do. One of which is that you can just jump over this thing using a trusty little UFO thing. It can be a little bit tricky sometimes, and there we go. I'm just going to make a quick save here. And the reason why that's a favorable solution is because right now you can just go over here and there's just nothing really going on. And I wonder if I can actually get through this. Yeah, I can just go through the doors, through the wall, because that's how vehicles work. But I guess the game sort of intended you to go here, because that spawns a couple things. Nothing we really have to worry about, because we have a vehicle of death. But still, it's kind of neat that you can just skip all these enemies altogether if you want. Including, but not limited to, once we can get over the staircase. This is what I mean with not being very good vertically. There's one inside there. And that guy just doesn't spawn at all if you just jump over the little wall. And these things have health bars, which is weird because they're just masks. But for some reason your cursor does indicate their health properly. Unlike virtually every other destructible object. Like these things, I could probably destroy them. Can I actually? Yeah, see, I can destroy those, but those don't have a health bar. It's weird. But moving along, we are going to grab this hidden armor. It's not a secret, but it's just nice to have, really. I like armor. Armor is good. And in this direction, there are new enemies in a minute, which is the football players. And that guy, I guess. He's not really new, though. I wonder if I can just get rid of him. I want to show off the football players. So the football players, they don't quite die in one hit from the sniper rifle and Sirius, which is not nice, because it would make this a lot easier, but it's not meant to be. These guys are kind of like the bulls, only they also have a projectile attack. That's just about it, really. They move about as fast, maybe actually a little bit slower. And, yeah, they can throw balls. The balls, I think, explode as well, so you have to be at least a little bit careful there, but overall, as long as you just don't run into them, you should be fine. Let's throw some pigeons at them. Because just about anything works against these guys. As long as you just don't get hit, then... Well, that's, I guess, this is the case with every enemy. As long as you don't get hit, they're not that dangerous. And those red dudes are actually kind of effective against the football players, even though they're on their side. Having their rockets on my side is actually kind of nice, but after a while they do get a little bit too close for comfort, and I want to get rid of them. And that's where Klodovik comes in. Or, of course, our trusty rocket launcher, or just about every other weapon we have. Anything that can deal damage is good right now. And considering that this area is quite large and they're all not really coming in large numbers, it's not so scary. It's not so bad. Just keep shooting, just keep firing, just keep avoiding. Everything should be good. Now, inside here, there is serious damage. And I cannot get over that tiny wall, but I'll just learn to live with that. And that serious damage is kind of nice, because there's actually a fair amount of enemies waiting for us over here. More of those balls, which are still not scary, because the moment you shoot them, they just sort of fly in the opposite direction with our serious damage power-up. And there is also a serious score power-up over there. And that's a secret area. And if it wasn't, then I probably wouldn't have even bothered picking it up. But, you know, secret areas are important, just like ammo power-ups. And that's why we gotta get them all. Again, with the rocket turrets, you can destroy their missiles, so they're not as scary, but as long as you move, they will generally not hit you anyway. And we're just gonna mosey along through the level, really. Oh, whoa. Don't scare me like that, though. There we go. Easily dispatched, because serious damage is really, really, really strong.
Spikes? I hate spikes.
Now, unlike the previous instance of spikes, if you fall into these, you will actually just instantly die. And I don't want that to happen, which is why I made a quick save. It's probably not gonna happen, but I don't like dying from spikes. I like being safe, and I like being secure. And it's just a silly way of dying, really. So don't fall into those spikes, because you'll die. That'll be sad. And as we move along, there's gonna be a bunch of nasty things waiting for us, among which are a couple rocket turrets. I'm actually gonna keep them alive. Believe it or not, I'm actually gonna keep those rocket turrets living and well. And the reason for that is those guys. Again, it's an instance of having extra rockets by your side kinda helps when you deal with melee enemies, because they are pretty good at catching rockets for you, usually. Once they start getting a little bit closer, that's roughly when the rockets sort of lose their accuracy and instead start to hit their friends. That red guy already killed one of the various football players over here. And honestly, they don't really do enough damage for me to be scared of them. So you might as well keep them alive and have them shoot at their friends in some sort of morbid, fascinating way. We let them kill each other because they're really, really dumb. It's kind of a shame that every enemy on serious difficulty takes slightly more damage, it seems, because you need just one extra shot with just about every weapon every time you shoot at someone. Like, everything needs like 2 missiles and a bit. And it'll be enough when you do that extra shot, but it's still a little bit tedious when you're shooting at things, and then just need that one more. Just need that one extra shot. Now there's another couple secret areas over here. As you can probably imagine, there's 11 secret areas in this level, so they're stacked with secrets.
Area has been found.
And honestly, you're probably better off not grabbing this because it spawns a whole bunch of nasty things, among which balls. Also, it spawns rocket turrets, and these rocket turrets, actually kind of like many rocket turrets, are sort of special in a way, because I think only explosives can make them turn around. And it doesn't make them especially scary when you're sort of standing over here and they're just shooting at rocks. And what I mean when explosives turn them around, I mean that I do this and then suddenly, oh, they can't turn around after all. I don't know why that's the case, but it just is. And it's kind of nice, I suppose, because you can just continue using only non-explosive weaponry, but it still seems like somewhat of a design flaw when it comes to creating rocket turrets, if they can't actually turn at all. Seems kind of like a silly idea. Now, as per me tradition, I've briefly forgotten if there was a secret area here. There's just some armor, but that's still kind of nice to have. Every now and then you can hear the sound of a creaking door. In the previous series Sam games, that usually meant that there was a door you could shoot open and there would be stuff inside. In this game, it just means creaky door sound effect, so you don't really have to concern yourself with that, fortunately. But that does lead us to this next area, with a little cutscene showing off the shaman, whatevs, giving us some extra ammo and health. And I'm sure there is nothing wrong with that ammo and health. There actually is surprisingly little wrong with that ammo and health, but we'll get to that. First of all, we're going over here because there's money. And this place is kind of odd, because there's actually about 5 turrets here. You might not be able to see them, and that's because they haven't spawned yet. And you can actually avoid those turrets entirely if you just take the path I just took. Like, just jump over that little wall. And then later on, just jump back over that wall again. Jumping back again is a little bit tricky, but it's a thing you can do, you know? And another basketball court. Now, in the previous one, you could just stand under it and jump. This one is slightly higher. So instead, what we have to do is just look down and then quickly aim upwards. And then preferably not too far down, otherwise that happens. And if you do it right,
Secret cannon has been found.
the physics will just make it go over and into the net that way. But you can also just throw it in. Unfortunately, that was a remarkably pathetic throw. Let's see if we can... I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to try it one more time. I give up. Whatever. We did it improperly, and we got ourselves a secret cannon, which is probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest weapon in the game. There we go. That took forever. And we're just going to go back through the normal way to show off what actually happens if you walk in here normally. Which is... That's what happens normally. And you can avoid those spawns altogether by just taking a slightly alternate route, which is odd. But that's just what Serious Sam 2 is sometimes. They don't expect people to walk over here, look at this tiny little wall, do some weird jump shenanigans. But this is actually kind of a tricky jump to do as well, which is why I guess they didn't bother. And you actually kind of have to destroy this tree because its hitbox is just sort of everywhere. And then you can just sort of jump over here and then nothing should spawn if you do it correctly. Of course nothing spawns now because we just killed everything. But had we not killed everything, I assure you, it would have been great. It would have been good. So going over here, we're just going to grab this inconspicuous health and ammo. And 2 helicopters spawn. Fortunately, we have pigeons. And even more fortunately, we fully regained our ammo after we pick those things up. So yeah, good stuff. Definitely worth getting. And there's a new enemy type. I forgot what her name was, but she's not too spooky. She does have one kind of interesting effect though, is that she rides those enemies. So that's kind of scary in its own little way. Also, the cannon, I guess I should probably explain this considering this is the first instance of the cannon we've gotten so far. You can charge the shot, and the further you charge it, the more damage it will do. And in general, it sort of depends on what enemy you're fighting, like how much you want to charge it, because when it's like a small bull, you might as well not charge it, and it'll just go through it easily. But with stronger enemies, you want to consider charging it a little bit more, because it's safer that way. It's more likely that the enemy will actually die, and it's more likely that you won't be in big trouble. Now, since we moved a little bit further on, there's going to be a lot of kamikazes, but again, kamikazes are complete jokes, and we can just virtually ignore them, to be perfectly honest. We just mostly want to focus on the big dudes, and we just got a cannon, so it's not like we don't have the tools required to take care of big dudes like that. Because the cannon, as you can probably guess, works pretty well against just about everything here. That guy didn't die, but he was one shot away from dying, just about, and that makes it pretty good, considering it takes like 4 rockets or something like that otherwise, and just a little bit safer. And all you need to do is throw a basketball through a hoop, or sort of pretend that you did. Mostly pretending is what we did in this particular instance, but it was good enough, and the game gave us our prize. And while we just sort of happily shoot around here, we're just gonna dance around these projectiles. The same goes with just about every battle we've done so far. You just gotta dodge their shots. This place is just so massive that honestly there is very little that could possibly go wrong. And once you've killed all the enemies, the shaman comes out, or the shaman comes out. I never remember what the actual pronunciation is. But there's a whole bunch of secret areas we missed. So first of all, I'm gonna go over here. There's another switch.
Thunder switch 2 has been activated.
Why is this a thing? I don't know. But it just is. It's just one of those unexplainable things about Serious Sam 2. And a little bit further ahead, there's a money
Been found.
and another spaceship. And this spaceship is pretty cool because you can fly into this tree and do a little quick save. And there's a tiny hill over here. And you can use a tiny hill to jump on top of this tiny building. And this tiny building, this might actually be a little bit too far back. Let's see if this works. It's unlikely, but we'll see, I suppose. Yeah, this jump is a little bit of a tricky one. I might have to video edit there to make it seem totally seamless and like I totally did it in like one attempt. And in fact, I'm gonna do that. There we go. That was actually the third attempt, believe it or not. And from here, you can jump up this rock and you can go wherever your heart desires. Actually, that's not entirely true. But you can see a lot of beautiful things out here. You can actually go all the way around this place and then you can just sort of hop on top of stuff. It's kind of neat, but it doesn't really get you anywhere. Other than on the top of that particular building, that's about as far as you can go, really. Actually, you might be able... I think if you grab one of the crates early on in the level, you can actually jump on top of that and continue all the way around this wall. But we need to go here anyway, because it's a secret area. I put secret area in quotation marks because it's actually just sort of an area that happens to be called a secret area. I'm not really sure why this is a secret area either. It's just this entire like housing part is a secret area according to the game. And sure, right? Let's not argue with that logic. And instead just go over here where there's a chicken. And battle music. Oh! Yeah, I guess there's that guy. I don't know when he spawned, but probably I guess when we spawn all those other guys. But yeah, there's a chicken and there's some ammo. We're gonna grab that. We wanna kill that chicken. I was kind of hoping I could maybe spawn inside it and cause it to die that way because that would be kind of hilarious, but unfortunately that didn't happen. I didn't actually test if that was a thing you could do either, so it was just sort of, is this possible? But I don't know. It might be. I might have done it wrong. But I was pretty close regardless. And I think we're at 9 secrets. Good. I prepared this level very well. I played through it once. And we go to the place that is virtually impossible in multiplayer. I vaguely recall these things not actually extending for both, like for all players. Like, I think it only extends for the host. Which is a common occurrence with moving things like this. I'm not really sure why. I might be wrong on that one though, but as you can see there's sparkles coming off of the spikes. And that means that there's a teleporter and we can just fall down at any moment in time and it doesn't really matter too much. But obviously we just want to get up here. We don't even need this heart, but sure, why not? Let's do a quick save. Because this place can get a bit hectic too.
To the ceremonial arena. Find yourself 4 bananas for good luck.
I love bananas.
Now everyone knows bananas give good luck, which is why we're going to move over here. And we're going to sit over here. Because I want to take care of all the enemies first before we try and grab bananas. And there's actually a reasonably large amount of enemies that you have to fight here. And with every banana you pick up, there's going to spawn some more enemies. So you want to be careful. You need to stand in specific spots to spawn the enemies. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's some weird path you could take that avoids everything.
You found the first banana. 3 more to go.
But you probably still want to be careful. I can already hear the football players. Whenever you hear someone go like those guys, and that's generally when there's football players afoot. And you have to be at least a little bit careful for melee attacks and such like, because they are pretty big and they are pretty fast and they can be hard to avoid when you're standing right next to them. A thing you can do is that you can just jump in some of the buildings over here, because it's actually not that hard with some of them. Some of them just have really large doors which you can jump on top of, and then you can just jump on top of the building itself. And all of the melee enemies won't be able to hit you anymore. Of course, they do still have their projectile attacks, so you have to at least be a little bit careful, but honestly, you might as well just spawn them in slowly, and then you also won't have anything to worry about anymore. Considering the fact that there won't be that many enemies simultaneously to shoot at you, and that's good. It's good to not get shot a lot. Because as you can see, the moment we move in this direction, the dude lightning's in my face, and it's spooky. And you don't want to deal with that when you're also dealing with football players running towards you with their explosive balls. And it just sort of keeps going. Fortunately, we have a okay, that's just overkill, but sure. I think we managed to hit that giant primitive at least, so it sort of was worthwhile to use the cannon there. I sort of remembered there being a stronger enemy there, but I guess there wasn't. I guess there just wasn't. Also, pigeons are good.
Way to go! You found the second banana.
Great. 2 more to go.
But yeah, as you can see, this is the same doorway that we were capable of using to jump over that tiny little like rock earlier to skip a bunch of turrets from spawning. And pigeons are only really good when they don't get lost. And sometimes their AI is just not very good at pathfinding and they just blow up into a wall. And these helicopters are playing mind games or something because they know how to avoid these things. That is very bizarre. I've not really seen that happen before, but everything's a first, I suppose. Usually their machine gun fire doesn't really damage you too much, as long as you just move around, but I guess when they're just right above you, then the odds of them actually missing are just fairly low. And I'm just going to use all of my Klodoviks over here. That was a weird music change, but sure. And because in the next level, we won't really have that much use for Klodovik. And the level after that, we won't have any of them anymore, so we probably want to use as much ammo here as possible. Yeah, as you can see, you can just sort of sit inside one of these buildings. Nothing to fear, nothing to be scared of. Grab some ammo, armor, whatever. And you just move along trying to grab bananas. That's all we have to worry about. Banana number 3, waiting for us over here.
That's the third banana found. Just one more.
Just one more. And as you can see, the more bananas we get, the more enemies spawn. These guys are very vivid about their bananas, so you gotta be careful. Also, you won't be able to leave the level without the 4 bananas, which is really the only reason. If it was only for luck and you could actually leave without it, it would be nice. Because who really wants to grab 4 bananas in an area like this? But that's just the life we have been given when it comes to Serious Sam 2. And there's also plenty of power-ups here to never really be scared of anything at any point in time. So, we're just gonna mosey along. I like saying mosey today for some reason. Not really sure why. Alright. Now, secret area number 10 is stupid, and secret area number 11 is a little bit better. But secret area number 10... it's also one of those secret areas where it's just an area, only this time it's just not obvious at all that it's a secret area. Because it's just a corner, which is completely empty from the... like, if you just look at it. But no! In all actuality, there is in fact a thing right there. Very easy to miss, but fortunately, I looked on the internet before playing this level. And banana number 4 is waiting for us over here.
Now proceed to the ceremonial arena.
And the 4th banana will also always spawn that guy, so regardless of what the 4th banana is. So arguably it would be a little bit better to grab one which is further away from the exit, which is right there, but we still need to get secret number 11, which I quite like because it requires climbing things, and that's kind of rare in this game. It's kind of rare that the game actually wants you to climb over things rather than just putting invisible walls everywhere or trying to put invisible walls everywhere and then just failing. But that's just the way Serious Sam 2 goes. And yeah, our health and armor are completely filled and everything's pretty good. Let's leave. Let's leave.
Hey, let me in. Come on. Open the goddamn door. Wilma! What the?
It's me, Shaman. Why the hell are you yelling?
Don't know. Feels good, I guess.
Let me try.
Whoa.
Now let's hurry and summon Kwongo.
And as I said previously, you can actually just get behind the exit by taking a crate all the way to the very end of the level and using it to jump on top of one of the rooftops and then on top of one of the walls like I did in another part of the level. And it just looks a bit silly really, considering in the cutscene they put so much effort into trying to open that door. But that was level 7, I want to say. And the next time we play, we are going to do level 8, which is called Kwongo. Bye-bye.